Abusuya makwaba about POG Media. So na matter what says that da oka POG Media home ma yebo edura headlines a yenso yensa kano highway no so the beso my Ghana any POG Media abedwafo na meshe say na your first time or the visit POG Media and the kwa so meshe so drop subscription now why notification bell no na also share no for so answer so etimi aka no so hu the echo and the eba e my Ghana mu na ebebo e dey nsem ma na chese yebo e dey ra nsem bi a the deputy attorney general and so e dey abetudwa efa operation recover all no achese na chese Ghana mabunu bebre na so 18 komo say the first coming days and I say ebra NDC ba ban mu foforo no chese na chese ora for yi and so bo adwuma na come here say for the few and I say for some parts past months ora for na say omedwuma no said that gidi as it used to be and Deputy Attorney General at the nsem bia to dwa efa nsem a Ghana man for the Hong Kong and some of the two actually say ora boys no to say almost boy juma day and night almost say nkofuku a na the past government no almost say katajane prayer bomb almost be hwe no mo de omagina mra no na ni kwan enye say ofa ode complaints if you are hobai na just say uchina sa complaints no so dey act agile na mum there's also your investigation as an investigation and ama around mo share dante mo kana na o she oto aso to just say do Boahen case in there I just say the final stage and I just say or just say sikapudu a no so timi fan nsase no almost enam kwan so at say almost retrieve at say kwan a omonam so no after some magistrates can ono so betimi afeli jail term na also NSS was jandama na say corona and also call so ghost names nonsense so or the also judgment and also be call Adiama Akuffo yi and so editu ja me say bejebre ni abo ran sema the deputy attorney general to highway so
validate that which has been done under the law as it is.
Let's talk about oral now, Operation Recover or Loot, a big campaign promise before the government came into office. Almost 9 months down the line, 2 cases, the SkyTrain one and the other one involving the former National Signals Bureau chief. Would you say oral is on course?
Oral is very much on course. It's so much on course. And sometimes I look, as I sit here, I look at the Ghana Police Service, I look at Yoko down there, and I see BNI on the other side, and beneath where I sit are hundreds of attorneys, and they're having sleepless nights, investigating. So let me take this opportunity to explain the process of the criminal procedure to the public. I think when I do that, it will at least let the public know what is going on so that the allegation or the complaint, I understand the complaint, okay? Because so much, a lot happened in this country, the citizens became aware of it, and they are eager for justice. And I understand that, and I subscribe to that eagerness. And actually, every morning I get not less than 100 tags on social media. And out of those tags, about 99% of them are asking me what is happening to oral. And I read them every day. And I thank you for giving me the opportunity to address that. So to take someone to court for a criminal trial, first of all, there must be a complaint. The oral committee, which was set up immediately after the election, their main job was to assemble complaint because that was a time when people did not know exactly where to go to make complaints, or people have even lost confidence in some of the law enforcement institutions. They are not sure that if they go and give a complaint to, let's say, institution A, it will have any effect. So the oral committee was to serve as that assembly point for various complaints. After that, so they compiled their complaint. You cannot go and arrest someone and throw the person to jail or take someone to court merely on complaint. There must be investigation. So that's the next stage of the criminal process. So after complaint, you come to investigations. Now, investigation means that all those allegations, our agencies, National Security, NIB, that's National Investigation Intelligence Bureau. No, I think it's Investigation Bureau. And then Police Service, IOCO, they are all out there, and what they are doing is to find the evidence to support those complaints. Because the persons who bring these complaints are not law enforcement. They may have an idea. Some of them may even have some document that they believe is enough, but it doesn't mean that we can go to court with what they brought. So these institutions are day and night going out there, gathering information. That is why you see sometimes when they arrest some of the people, you see the public, they'll go and gather at IOCO, or they'll go to BNI, or go to police service. That is all part of it. I can tell you a significant number of people who are going through investigation, no one knows about it. They come quietly, they go through the process, they go, they return, they go, they return. So because I am here, I know what is going on. We can't always come out to be announcing every aspect of these things, because when we do so, chances are that we are also being unfair to the persons who are involved, because investigation may lead to no finding against you. Yet, in society, when you are invited by police and you put it out there that this person has been invited, people conclude. So we can't put everything out there. Now, after you gather the evidence, the next stage is for you to build a docket. The docket is for all the attorneys to come together with the investigators on each case to say, we have enough evidence to go to court with. Then you now begin, so it is when the docket is built and we have charges, that is where you see me running to court to go and charge the persons, like the Boahen case and the Sky Train, and then we charge the person and say that you have committed this, then you defend. Then the court trial itself starts. I mentioned earlier that the average number of 2 years. Now, let me give you these two cases that you mentioned. We have moved so fast within these cases, okay, to the extent that for Addo Boahen, we are about 1/3 through the case, 1/3 of the journey through the case. If not for legal vacation, which stops the courts for 2 months, we probably would have closed our case, and then the defense will be open. But we will come back in October and then continue with where we left from. That is super fast. That is very, very fast if you compare it with all the other criminal trials that we are even doing here. But I understand, I know after this, I'm sure one of the bites you put out there is that Deputy Attorney General says oral is super fast. So then the public will say, but we don't see anything. But the point I'm trying to make is that the expectation is legitimate because of what we have witnessed. But the work we are going through and we are doing is very thorough and is vibrant. I hardly sleep. But the bigger point here is that the public would have to, as it were, be also made aware of the processes. That we can't just bundle people based on complaints and throw them into jail. So someone says 8 months down the line, nobody's in jail. We have done 8 months. We don't see anybody in jail. The people are still walking about, and some of them are giving interviews. But there is no law which says that if you are being prosecuted.
In fact, they've made reference to the National Service Secretariat one, the lady involved that the Attorney General spoke about her. She participated in a recent GFA event, and we saw, if you go on social media, you see the comments. People are saying that all what the AG said, how is the matter not in court?
Yeah, why is he still contesting and winning election and we are here? How is Addo Boahen granting interview and talking about Omani being his good friend and all? We have to, there's nothing really we can do as law enforcement about people's rights to contest, because the position of the law is that you are innocent until you are proven guilty. The person has not been proven guilty. So for the public, let me make this point, that the concerns are legitimate. There's no doubt about that. The concerns are legitimate. But the processes of the courts and the criminal procedure is also, you can't, there's no point in rushing, and at the end of the day, the person will just be discharged, So what I can say to the public is that my good friends out there, they should keep the pressure on us. They should keep the pressure on us. We need the prompting, we need the pressure to be motivated to continue the work. We are motivated, but without their constant reminders, without their constant tags, and without their constant calls on us that we should move fast, chances are that we may feel complacent. So we agree with what they are saying, but we are following the process, and I'm saying that we will deliver the mandate that they have given to the government. President John Mahama's government's promise is that we are going to correct all the injustices that have been done to the public purse. We are going to ensure that people are brought to book and examples are set for people to know that when you abuse public office for private gain, when you take public resources and you pass it off into your pocket as your own property, you will be dealt with. And that agenda is on and will not stop. And the motivation that we get from the public comment is also very much needed.
On the process, the agencies that work with you, or basically under your supervision, Yoko particularly, in the last couple of months, the concern has been the bail bond, the sum that they are fixing. I mean, the argument is that sometimes they fix huge sums in a manner that basically they've granted you bail, but you end up being kept for more than 48 hours. I mean, your ministry is responsible for justice as well. And when you're in private practice, I remember you've raised issues with how bail is handled generally. Do you find this to be consistent with the legal provisions, Article 19, Article 14?
Yeah, so I understand the public concern, but this is what law enforcement and even the courts take into account when they are granting bail. They look at how much is involved in the alleged crime. They look at the possibility of the suspect or the accused person running away, that is flight risk. They look at the possibility of the accused person interfering with further investigations or trying to pervert the course of justice if he's granted liberty. Now let's focus on the value involved. I understand why the people are shocked about, or they feel that the bail bond, the amount is huge. That is because the crimes we have investigated are unprecedented. I mean, someone is alleged or has been accused of taking 500 million Ghana cedis, and then the bail is, you want the bail to be 2 million. I will pay the 2 million and go and not come back. Do you get the point? So the bail, as the courts themselves have decided, should match with the gravity of the offense. That is what it is. So if a few of those cases have moved from the law enforcement, have gone to court, and even when court granted bail, it was still difficult for the people to satisfy the condition. For example, in SkyTrain, one of the accused persons, after being granted bail, was still in custody. It took the person a very long time to satisfy the condition in terms of the amount. What it means is that the law enforcement agencies and the courts have agreed or are agreed on the gravity of these bail conditions. So, yes, it may be outrageous to you that someone is supposed to pay millions of cedis for bail, but we need to also find out what amount of money the person is accused of stealing or of misappropriating or causing financial loss. And when you look at that, you will see. So, for example, some of the people who have brought the suspect, investigation showed that they have properties that are more than what you think the bail is. Now, if you give a bail condition which is below, and the monies they are accused or they are alleged to have stolen is also huge. So you sitting out there, this is huge, 2 million is huge. But the person deep down his own heart knows that, look, if I can look for this money and pay, So I don't think that the courts have been excessively harsh, and the few times that reviews have been sought in respect of those bail conditions that the law enforcement agencies have granted, the courts have marginally remained within the same framework, and the people still struggle to satisfy those bail conditions.
In terms of the practical aspect of it, first, the person is presumed to be innocent. When you are arrested, they can either release you conditionally or unconditionally. When they fix the condition and the person can't meet it, where do you stand? Within the 48 hours, should the investigative body go over to court to get a remand, or they should simply say that, well, we've released you, meet the condition before you go?
So if you read the law says if you arrest someone, you present the person to the court of competent jurisdiction for his liberty to be decided. That's the position of the law. So the investigative authorities also have a mandate, a command actually under the court to send the person to a court of competent jurisdiction for the bail condition for the person's liberty to be decided. But that doesn't also prevent the accused person who also has the right to go to court. And in most of these cases, what you would realize.
So like you media, I message open like and as I want subscribe to a POG political media and the as well with my drop subscription. Now I notification bell now I share now for so answer so etimi aka now so who the air call and the air banner sema. How general kind I just say on also then a nine air share a we a the spectators and as citizens no or then a nine air share and so young pub my feeling the way I feeling no and I'm say a bosh every brain I DC buying a share my 2 about more say omoba sound of we can for real turning and call for an artist say almost before my DC can move D you know ya be share na brand new me D said yes na Samuel who is a Ghana phone yeah pay a bit of action kakra. Person who say, oh, we face time, we face some maybe away 3 years, 5 years, we say, not to say, ama a year in summer, I'm also back at Ghana, ama agent also to Abamo, and also at me, Abem Ediamaye.
Is that you need to distinguish between what is actually going on between the accused person and the investigators and what is happening outside on the street by supporters granting interview and saying most of the people carry themselves as lawyers for the accused. But as far as the investigators are concerned, there is another lawyer who is the lawyer for the accused and is dealing with them on very.
I mean, we saw it in the Wontumi
case when one lawyer is roaming in town, granting interview that he is the lawyer, saying all manner of things. When the proper lawyer who is dealing with it is also saying completely different things. So my point is that we should be also very careful how we classify some of these complaints. Because if, as a lawyer, if I go and I see that the bail condition is excessive, what I'll do is to file a court for a review or compel the law enforcement to produce the person before a court. But you would, almost all the cases, you see that the proper people who have the instruction of the accused person, they don't go around complaining. They work around to satisfy it. Then some other lawyer who has no instruction from anyone is passing himself or herself off as a lawyer for the accused person or the suspect and is saying all manner of things. So as far as law enforcement is concerned, we are dealing with a lawyer who is most of the time in agreement with what we are doing and knows that he is in there, he knows the allegation, he has seen the complaint, he has seen the evidence to some extent, and is complying with the law enforcement agent. Then a lawyer who has not even gotten access to the person in custody, let alone talk about even assessing evidence, even knowing the complaint, also on social media saying, or in the media saying something else. So we need to draw a line between those complaints and what the legitimate lawyers, duly appointed lawyers, also say.
One aspect of the oral that has also been criticized has to do with how cases that existed already in the courts have been handled. I mean, one of such matters involves Dr. Addo, the former finance minister. From where the office sits, all the commentaries, the analysis that came post that decision, is it the position of the office still that we got a good deal that the country made a benefit from us against if they had followed through with the prosecution?
Thank you very much. You see, the best deal, okay, is to retrieve all the monies and jail the person because he has breached the law. That is the best deal, okay? But when you come to plea bargaining, we are not choosing between the best deal and the worst deal. Of course, if we all have the chance as a law enforcement agency, we will collect the money and put you, in prison on top because the law says you can even do both, okay? But the fact that we are coming to plea bargaining, we are comparing the time, resource, and the money that goes into, litigating for years and the time value of money and trying to reach a settlement. I understand plea bargaining is new in this, in our country. So a lot of people find it strange that someone has stolen and you say you are stolen and then you said you should bring some of the money and keep the rest so that you go and chop. If that's the case, then it's always better for us to all steal. Then when they catch us, we'll give some to the AG's office and then we'll go and chop the rest. But let me explain something. The same, I was, not that I was happy, but it was very instructive to me that after the do-for settlement was announced, the following day we had the other one,
The Republic versus
the beige, the beige one decided. So compare these two. Situation one, the do-for case, we were able to cut our losses, and then we got as much as 60% of what we allege that has been, as a subject matter of the crime. Okay. Then compared with the other one, where the person ended up being, acquitted, we got nothing, zero. In fact, let me not go further, but we even stand. There's even a possibility that there's something called malicious prosecution, So that can also be consequence of what happened. So I understand that we always deserve the best, but sometimes you don't have the option to take the best or the worst. You are choosing between two worst options, and in this case, we chose between. In the do-for case, we made a choice between getting 60% and getting in the Hinaku case, the choice was between getting the best, and then we ended up getting zero. So we need to look at it in this light. I also want anyone who has committed crime to be punished, and I want all the money to be retrieved, but it's not that simple.
Will it not have been more reassuring if it had been done under the recently passed Plea Bargaining Act, which is basically it would have to go to court for the court to adopt it? The agreement that was reached with Dr. Dufo.
That is one way. In fact, under the plea bargaining, that is just one way of doing it. There's another traditional way where you enter nolle prosequi and still get the same result. So it is not. There's not one way to doing the thing, and there are so many factors that are considered even a plea bargaining. There are so many factors that are considered. I wish. You see, we have given explanation as to what informed our decision. There's not sufficient space to explain and also to tell all the other things, because as part of the agreement to settle, not every part of the consideration will be made public and all. And it is sometimes painful, even to those of us here, that we do not have the unlimited space to give explanation or to explain to every person as to what went into the decisions. But I can assure you, my boss loves this country. The president of Ghana, JM, loves this country. There is no way JM will sit anywhere and look at Ghana losing and approve that Ghana should lose this. There is no way my boss will look at Ghana losing something and say that. And I think that is the essence of electing people into office. When you elect someone, I think the meaning is that we trust that this person, when it comes to determination of certain issue, he will be able to make a judgment which will be in the public interest. And I think that bit is reassuring to me, that I have a boss who will not stand anywhere and say that he's going to bend the rules so that somebody will go. And I have a president who will not sit anywhere and preside over things that will cause losses to the public. So the decision was made with all the relevant factors considered, and we believe that that is the best that we could get under the circumstances.
Where are we on the regional tribunals?
Yes, so the bill is pending before cabinet, so that will be implemented, and it is a very important aspect of this government's reset agenda to bring back the regional, not to bring back, to activate, because actually in the constitution it is not something that is dead. It's just that we were not using it, so we are going to start using it, because it is part and parcel of the laws of this country.
And how different would you attempt to limit their jurisdiction so that it does not appear to be doing the same things that the ordinary courts will be doing?
No, so the regional tribunals deal with crimes that are of public interest nature. It doesn't mean that the High Court doesn't deal with, so their jurisdiction actually overlap. The only difference here is that the regional tribunal has built in itself an inbuilt component of active citizen participation. So sometimes we lawyers see things differently from how non-lawyers see things. So for example, every lawyer who knows how criminal procedure goes would never say that oral is slow or oral is not happening. Because every lawyer who has gone through law school and is worth his salt will know that it will take you an average of 2 years to complete one criminal case. So but the public may not know this, right? So the difference here is that the regional tribunal will now include the public in the justice delivery, system to know that. So their views are also important because they said justice emanates from where? The people. And it should be exercised in accordance with the will of the people. So the people's view of what is just is the most important thing in every jurisdiction. Let me give you an example. So for a greater part of human history, we use other means of trial. We use trial by combat. People actually believe that when there's a dispute between a land dispute, you bring your strongest person from your family as a claimant, and the defendant bring the strongest person. And when they fight, and whoever wins is the one who is entitled to the land. There's no logical connection between the strength of someone and the land. But people have believed in it and have used it for far more longer period than this system of justice we are using. People have used trial by ordeal. Human beings have used all manner of, we see people going to even religious, they do trial by religion and all that. So what matters in a criminal, in any justice system is the people's perception of justice. If the people believe that what you are doing is unfair, it doesn't matter how you explain it as a lawyer, it is unfair. And they will consider it unfair no matter what. If the people think that it is fair, then they will appreciate the justice system and they will uphold it. So what the regional tribunal does is to bring that component of citizen participation so that the citizens' view, so it's a blend between what technical law is saying and what the people's view of justice is.
And with the bill that you've seen so far and the possible implementation when it takes off, those who have fears of the public tribunals in times past, they can be assured that will not be the mode.
No. You see, things begin. Look, even the idea of democracy. Democracy was started by a very bloody, I'm not talking of Ghana, the idea of democracy or representative democracy was started with a very terrible history. But we have refined it and now we are here as we are happy whenever we say democracy. We don't even think again, we think it's the best form of government. Even the current justice system that we are running, its history is not pleasant. But we have come to improve upon it and we love it. So the argument that the public tribunal was used to be very crude and used to punish people. Therefore, this is what we are bringing back. It shocks me when the argument is made, and I know people who sometimes make it mischievously to create disaffection for the process, but there are enough guarantees. For example, it's the same Chief Justice who empanels the court, who will be empaneling the persons who sit in the public tribunal. It is the same judges or lawyers, persons who are qualified to be judges. So you cannot sit as a judge, as a panel member in the regional tribunal or the public tribunal unless you are qualified to be a judge in the high court. So it is just the only difference here is that you have the public actively participating in that trial. The criminal procedure is also the same, So there shouldn't be any fear whatsoever about how that justice system will be implemented. Nobody will be brought to public and caned. Nobody will be stripped naked and lashed at the tribunal. No, you are entitled to your right to counsel of your choice. You will open your case. You will cross-examine your accusers. They will come and testify in court. You also call your witness. The same process.
Finally, let's talk about legal education. We have heard from various individuals suggest that there is a major change coming up.
Medasi so come home. I bought a Réàch medium say POG the Band of Ghana authentic political updates are a POG Media so pay and I also sabit me account now who the echo any the eba my Ghana political space name. Now so subscribe to la any day kwa so am say subscription now I notification bell no say don't sabit me daily updates nibi now also wa share now bet me so I pass it through the comment section on also it me din komo or say the jumedi yes bet me I crab share inti POG Media man say yes we be bo the raho na dia reply mo comments no na chese bibia so enso etimi e dia okay dia majumadi no me that's it so jebre e de ma POG be say